There's going to be conversations about coaching. Who has a lot of pressure on their back going into the 2025 season. This could be for various reasons, could be negative, could be positive. Who do you see it and why? Jake, you first.
Great Pistol Pete
Thank
location there, Parks. Nice branding. I'm going to keep mine short because it's been the talk of the entire offseason when talking about this conference. But shout out to our guy, Jared, who has been in the conference or comments. I'm going to throw your guy, Joey McGuire. Need I really say more? You spend this much money in a conference where it feels as wide open as ever. You're winning 5-star offensive tackles in the high school recruiting ranks, not just in the portal. And there are some legit dudes on that roster. Like, we'll probably touch on them later. But yeah, man, it goes without being said. He's easily the most coach under pressure within the Big 12. Did I say something funny, Parks?
No. Just
bad wording.
Pause.
Did I?
Yeah. Well, you said there's some dudes in this conference. We'll touch on them later. It's just, sorry. Sometimes
I've heard worse.
You heard it some way. Get off my back, Jake. I didn't even say anything. You called my laughing out. All right, it's fair. What do you think about Joey McGuire, JP?
I mean, it's a good point. I would say exactly kind of what he's saying. It feels like there's just the most expectation you could put on a team in this conference is on him right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's gotten called out. I mean, the money aspect itself, and we've talked about this in the past, especially during the offseason, is you may have a season full of money and with deeper pockets, but to retain that money in your pockets, you got to provide, right? Like you got to roll out a season that these donors and these businesses partnering with maybe your collective are going to want to reinvest in the next year to then upkeep the talent level that you keep going. And obviously winning helps that, but also just, some sort of serviceable thing towards the money being donated can also retain that and, elongate your success. So a lot of pressure this year with the pockets that he's got. I love that pick. Let's go over to JP. JP, talk to us about your pick with a coach with a lot of pressure on his back.
I got Scott Satterfield here. He's 8-16 in 2 years at Cincinnati, right? Felt like they were close last year in a lot of ways, in a lot of close games, lose those games. But a non-bowl season for him, I think, starts to make more panic. I think if it's 5-7 or worse, there's some real worry out there in the world. And then there's a lot of assumptions for his team, right? Like, we assume things will go this way for them this year that didn't go their way last year. Also, like, we are assuming the receiver room improves, like the way they built it up with the portal. We assume the offensive line gets better. We assume the DBs are, reloaded and fixed and things. It's possible that some of those disappoint, if not all of them, right? And, they need to win a ton of coin flip games. And it's weird for me to look at Cincinnati and that schedule and be like, oh, yeah, well, there's a real shot that they win 8-9, right? But you get TCU, you get BYU, you get Utah, Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas, and Nebraska. That's non-con. It's a tough schedule for them to do it. And so I think the worry is that there was so much success right before he got there. Now he's part of the transition, and it's a couple, it would be 3 years at this point of not winning. It becomes a little worrisome, and they feel like they're investing a lot in programs in general, not just the football program. So winning has to happen sooner than later before, if it's not now that the pressure this season, it's next year for sure.
Yeah, I know. I think the pressure is now. I think you nailed it because take a look. You already mentioned the schedule, but at the team, the feeling in general of playing against Alabama in the college football playoff, you'll lose your coach. Here comes Scott Satterfield, and it just hasn't even gotten that half of that edge back yet that you had. And then you move into the big conference, and you start playing those bigger teams that you said you could have beat. But just the coaches just feels like what's holding you back because when you didn't have that one coach, you were there. So the fan base, I think, has this overall feeling that's overlaying that pressure. And I think you nailed it. I think it's this year, JP. I think you're right. Jake.
Yeah, it's so funny, right? We've talked about that Farmageddon game over in Ireland and how it can set the tone for the rest of the year. I don't think it gets talked about enough. That Thursday night in Kansas City, Nebraska, Cincinnati, that can set the tone for either one of those programs for the rest of the season.
It's not really getting circled on week one calendars for whatever reason, but I feel like we touch on it every week just because internally we're so excited about it.
It's going to be a great one.
I think about it a lot.
And it's two teams who can't win close games right now. So one of these teams is going to have to win a 7-point game with the whole college football landscape watching them on a Thursday night alone in that window. So I'm fascinated for it, really fascinated by it.
I'll go over to my pick for coaches with the most pressure. I'm going to flip to the side of a team with high expectations this year, and that's Baylor. I think Dave Aranda, we talked about him last year being a coach that was coaching for his job in that situation. Look at the last 3 years. He comes in 2020, the COVID season happens. And then in 2021, Baylor beats Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title. They go on to win the Sugar Bowl. Everything's on the up and up. Then you post a 6-7 season, a 3-9 season. Then last year, you finally turn it back the right direction. You rip off 8 wins. But I still think there's that overlooking gloom of like, hey, you haven't won a bowl game. You still didn't win your bowl game last year. You haven't won a bowl game since that 2021 Sugar Bowl. So I still think with the expectations this season, with the returning production, I think there's pressure on Aranda's back for Baylor to at least get to the mark that they were at last year, if not more. Would you agree, Jake?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. We touched on how they're doing in high school recruiting too. Like the trajectory in the offseason hype is steadily, it's inclining for this program. And I think there's a confidence because you do have a prolific quarterback. And now it's just like the pressure's on Aranda because the defense sucked last year. And he was the one who started calling plays. Yeah, he was the one calling the plays. So yeah, of course it relies on his shoulders this year because I think I do think that offense is going to be really good again. It's can the head coach get his specific group right in the defense? So we'll find out.
JP, any thoughts quickly on that squad?
It's a quiet favorite for a lot of people, though. I'd say not really talking a lot about Baylor.
Yeah, no, they're not, man. I'm sure we're going to get into it. Actually, I can assure you we will talk about Baylor further, but let's leave coaches there. That are coaches with the most pressure.